All right, now we're live.
All right.
And we'll just give it a minute here. We'll wait for some viewers. Oh, we already got 2 likes, 2 watching. Um, Here we go. Let's see if I can change this view a little bit here. Okay, just getting acclimated here. All right. Well, thank you for being here at Tyrant Slayer Studios. Thank you for joining us as always. We are joined by a very special guest. Can I introduce you by your first name? Do you want to go by a?
We'll go by my first name. I don't have a problem with that.
All right. This is Justin. Justin resides in Vernon, Connecticut. He is a local. He is an avid watcher of Tyrant Slayer Studios and a very big fan of my work. And he has had over the years himself some firsthand dealings with the Vernon Police Department. Now, it is worthy to note that the Vernon Police Department, located here in the state of Connecticut, uh, is under new management. It has, I think, since July of this year, I think, perhaps maybe August, has had a new chief. The new chief's name is John Kelly. He has replaced former chief James Kenny, and I think our focus today here is going to be specifically regarding what was happening under his watch and your firsthand experiences, how I can relate to that personally
Yeah.
as a former resident of Vernon, and how alarming it is, these egregious misconducts that have remained unaddressed despite your valiant efforts, your due diligence, your tremendous effort to shed light on these issues, address them, and seek to rectify them. Essentially, nothing's been done, and this man's collecting a retirement at the expense of the lives that have been ruined and disrupted, and the laws that have been neglected under his watch, the Connecticut general statutes, which have been just dismissed in many phone calls. I can only imagine, given the information you've shared with me in our number of engagements prior to this video, how many other people have experienced things like this, and to what lengths those experiences went, the severity of the calls involved. I've experienced on a number of occasions trying to report criminal violations of the law to the Vernon Police Department, and they just don't seem to think they have to respond to that, and it's rather disturbing. So I'm not going to talk much more. Everybody knows I could do that, and for a long time and quite well. I'm going to give the floor to Justin. Justin's going to take it away and explain to you, give you some insight into what's happened with him during his engagements with the Vernon Police Department, located here in Vernon, Connecticut, and where that's left him, with or without options, and how he feels about it. Justin?
So we'll go back to the start. I worked at an apartment complex here in town in Vernon, and we had a problem with trespassers. And my boss said, well, call the cops every time you see a trespasser. So get a trespasser, call the cops. 2 officers show up. They see the trespassing going on. They say, well, you have no signs around any of your property that says no trespassing. So without signs, we can't trespass anybody. So frustrated, not really familiar with it. I tell my boss, she goes, all right, let's put up no trespassing signs. We put them up every 15, 20 feet all around the property. A couple weeks later, more trespassing. Call the cops again. The officer shows up, sees the signs. He says, well, the fence is broken up there. You have no fencing over there. No fencing over there. Without a fence up, we can't trespass anybody. That's the way the law works. So I'm more frustrated. I'm like, okay, I'll pass it along to my boss. Call my boss. tell her. 3 weeks later, we repaired the broken fencing. We put up fencing on all the areas, knowing that they should be responding, but trying to work with the police. We get kids hopping over the fence, adults hopping over the fence. We start finding out that that's actually a little bit of drugs coming up and down that section of town. So we call the cops. Cops come out, and then they tell us, well, you see, the problem is this trail is an established cut through, which means that we can't trespass anybody. That's the way the law works. It's an established trail, even though it's not legal, it's not normal, but we're not going to trespass anybody. You can just stop calling. My boss completely try calling. They send an officer out. He'll just drive by, drive into the parking lot, and pull out, take off, stop talking to us.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop you just a second. There was a sort of lag in your last statement. You cut out just before you said my boss, and then we lost you for a few seconds there,
Okay.
and you came back in. So if you could just back up and recap real quick for anybody just tuning in, who you are, what this is about for those just tuning in, and where we're at in the conversation.
My name is Justin. I'm a Vernon resident who for 10 years has had multiple negative interactions with the Vernon Police under the former Chief Kenny. Now I'm attempting to work with, hopefully positive, the new management, Chief Kelly, but laying out the groundwork as to what I've experienced and what this town has experienced under the Vernon Police. So, as I was saying, we had the cops had told us that was an established cut through, even though it wasn't a trail, that they weren't going to trespass anybody. It was done. That they didn't want us to call anymore. We would still call occasionally when there's a lot of activity, but they would just send a cop out, wouldn't do anything. My boss is upset. I'm upset. The owner of the company is upset. We're still trying to figure out how to resolve issues. A couple months later, fire alarm goes off in the building, and we found out that whenever the fire alarm would go off, they wouldn't send a fire truck out. They'd send a cop car. So one of these times the alarm's going off, cops, they're like, look, this siren's annoying, the alarm's annoying. Can you do anything? And I said, well, I know there's a silence button, but I've been told never to touch it. Cop says, well, I'm telling you to silence the alarm, so it's okay. So I go into the alarm room, press silence on the fire alarm, and he finally radios for the fire department to come out. So fire department comes out, and they're like, well, the alarm's off. And I said, no, I pressed silence because this officer told me to. And the fire responder goes, you never touched that panel. I said, I know, but the cop told me to. Cop says, I never said that. I never told you to silence the alarm. But at that point, I'm so baffled and angry, it's beyond me. They end up finding it was somebody had a small kitchen fire. No big damage. Nobody was injured. And then we have another incident at that same complex where the parking was limited. And the police would come out, and who I knew was going out to his car, saw the cops, said, hey, look, I'm going to move it. I had to run in some stuff, and I'm going to park it in the back. Cop said, doesn't matter. You live in that building, you deserve a ticket. And he asked, it was a female officer. He asked her why. She goes, that building is full of drug addicts and drug dealers. There's no way you've got a family. There's no way you're a decent person. That building is full of scum, and we can't wait for it to burn to the ground.
That's insane. You know what? We can, depending on how long records are retained by this department, there must be a recording of that correspondence, and I would be. We might be hard pressed to obtain it at this time, but boy, oh boy, do I wish I was doing then what I'm doing now, because that's just absolutely insane.
It's disturbing. So this individual who I've become friends with, we start trying to dig and find out why she's got this view of the building. And come to find out at that point, now this was 8 years ago, that point, 14 years prior, the biggest drug bust in Vernon history occurred in that building. And the police have never forgotten, and they continue under the operation that that building is a problem. We had a dumpster fire, and the fire marshal walks over to verify the fire before they'll roll a fire truck. And we ask him why, and he goes, "This building's low priority. Just leave us alone." That one just still blows my mind.
Yeah, totally unacceptable. I mean, where does one begin? Where does one begin? I mean, there's so many ways to basically tear that to shreds. And I can't find one that is not abrasive enough to share right now. You know, I mean, that boils my blood. And we're paying for this. This is what's really sad, you guys. We pay these people to behave this way. We pay them to do this. It's insane. It's absolutely unacceptable. Imagine collecting a check and doing things as unethical and as immoral, with questionable integrity, at the least. When you're a public official and you're under a sworn duty and in a position in which the constitutional rights don't apply to you, like you're not afforded the same rights as citizens once you sign up for that. Once you sign your name and you take that oath to the Constitution, you're sworn under duty to protect the Constitution and the people who are exercising their constitutional rights and things. People, these officials need to realize that they work for us and how serious the problem is here. They should be desiring to have a good, viable relationship with the public. There should be an overwhelming effort on behalf of all police and all police departments and their public relation departments within to create viable means to develop and evolve good, workable, malleable, functional, and productive relationships with the public, with the people. There has to be an initiative set to help people police their own communities. There has to be a relationship between the police and the people, period. And that relationship needs to be functional and a force for progress, as opposed to what it is right now and has been for way too long. There are innocent people who are victimized by this system. There are people filing complaints who have been victimized, and they're not getting any redress. They're not getting any legal recourse. They're being denied services. Based on the statute or based on a circumstance, the department itself may choose, we're not getting involved in that. Based on a location, for example, if there's there's rumor on the street from sources I will not disclose because it's not really relevant, but there's very good word on the street from reliable sources that indicate there are areas within the town of Vernon, Connecticut, in which the police are trying to avoid, because and the property managers facilitating these properties are trying to keep the high police activity out of those properties. These properties are often subsidized by taxpayers, and the tenants of said properties are often in very abusive relationships. They often have drug problems, addiction problems, mental health issues, and there is a very serious cause for alarm at what is being facilitated on behalf of tax dollars. The state is facilitating all of this, and we're paying for it. We're paying for it. And when innocent people get swept up in the midst of this, like my daughter, for example, it really creates a poignant moment for someone to try and articulate successfully some very serious problems going on, and the dire need to address them, and hopefully do so successfully, so that we as a people can actually get together as a civilized society, do something as a civilized people to address all of this uncivilized activity that's immoral, inhumane, and unethical, and harmful to all of our lives. Even from one trivial basis to a very serious case, it's all got the same outcome. It's bad for us. It's bad for our kids. It's bad for the people. It's bad for the costs. It's bad for taxes. It's bad for everything. It's bad for the property values of the houses in towns that suffer from things like this. You go and you invest in a town, and you think you got the right place to move into with your kids, and you're relying upon the public education system there, and the law enforcement there, and the emergency response teams, and public officials that we really kind of have to blindly trust, to do their due diligence and serve and protect and honor that oath to the best of their ability. We really put out a lot of trust. It's almost like eating fast food. People really have to trust the process when they're trusting another human being with something as serious as what they're putting in their mouth to ingest, or with something as serious as a judicial process that is a resulting outcome of your engagement with public officials, whether it's legitimate or not.
Yeah.
But I digress. Back to you.
I wish I
Justin.
could say the horror story stops there, but
Right.
It doesn't. I happened to live close enough to that property. We had an issue, and I had to put a sign up because it was a secure building. You couldn't enter without a key. So I put a sign up about, look, we know who's doing this. We're asking you nicely to stop before we progress further. That night, they knew where I lived. They had followed me. They slashed all 4 tires on my car. I call the Vernon Police because I called my insurance. They said we can't do anything without a police report. So I call. Vernon cop shows up, looks at my car, goes, "Gee, that sucks. What do you think happened?" So I told him. And he said, "Well, it's probably best if you just move out of town. Then nobody can find you where you park your car at night." I said, "Are you going to do anything?" And he goes, "Well, you got a camera up here?" I said, "No." And he goes, "Well, so you just have speculation?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I understand that." And he goes, "Well, you're really out of luck. Like I said, you should just quit your job, get out of town. That's in your best interest." I didn't feel safe anymore. I ended up putting a camera in my car. Thankfully, nobody touched it again. Several
Back up.
at the building I worked at.
I lost you again. Hang on. I lost you at several. You kind of lagged a little bit there. We lost audio on you for 4 or 5 seconds.
Okay.
So maybe just give it. I guess it's another good time for a recap.
Okay. Right.
For anybody tuning in, this is Justin. We've been knee deep into the thick of talking about his engagements and egregious experiences with the Vernon PD law enforcement under the representation of Chief John Kelly. I'm sorry, James Kenney.
James Kenney, yeah.
Yes,
the same initial, so people aren't used to it yet.
Yeah, well, it's really weird. The names you got John James Kelly, and now we got James
Kenney,
and now we got John Kelly.
John Kelly.
Yeah, imagine this. I can't even.
So, brief recap: car got vandalized. Call the cops. Cops' answer is quit your job, move out of town. Then nobody can bother you. Then you don't have problems. I'm completely baffled, angered at that point. I called the state police. They're like, it's a local issue. We're not coming in. We're sorry. At this point, I'm
And
just
that's Troop C responsible for that county. I gotta put that note out there. Troop
yep.
C is the state police troop that is responsible for that county, and you know, I'm conflicted. I want to comment on a number of things in regard to Troop C. I've had my good experiences with them as of late, and I've had horrible experiences with them as of late, and in the past. And I've heard some horrible things about them throughout my time in this community from dozens and dozens of people. And that is well documented here in the bunker within an undisclosed location here under the bedrock of the state of Connecticut. And it's well protected information. I digress. I think maybe we should move on a little bit. Maybe talk about the differences that we've seen under the new chief.
Well, let me cover the big key one.
Okay.
It really defines what happened underneath the previous chief of police. We had an incident. We had a drunk guy in the building pounding on a door. Now, the individual who lived in the door was an elderly couple. They kept to themselves. He's trying to tell the guy to leave, and the drunk guy's like, no, I know this is where I am, da, 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 da. The elderly gentleman sees me and says, can you help me, please? So I said to the guy, I said, look, I know where you're trying to go, but you're drunk. Please leave the building. He finally walks out the building. Starts wandering towards the woods, and I'm trying to just not touch him, just say, look, you need to get to the street, to the sidewalk. And he's like, I do what I want. You can't stop me. So I call the cops. I'm like, look, I've got a trespasser. He's drunk. And at that point, the individual tried to grab me. So I said, get your hands off me. And he's trying to take the phone away from me. He says, you're not calling the cops. And I said, get your hands off me. Bunch of cops show up at this point because I'm screaming, get your hands off me, get your hands off me. I had a witness who was a friend of mine who lived in that building. Cops show up. We're waiting for the cops. This guy finally calms down, takes his glasses off, and throws himself on the ground. Then he puts his glasses back on. Cops show up. They question him. They question me. And they're like, look, this guy's not drunk. He's an upstanding citizen. He's not a problem. And I'm like, look, I called. He was the one grabbing me, trying to grab my phone. I have my friend as a witness. They go to my friend. I can't hear what they're saying. They tell my friend, look, we know that your buddy there is a liar. We know he's a scumbag. And you need to flip on him right now, and this will go well for you. And my buddy says, no, what he's telling you is the truth. This guy's drunk. This guy's a problem. I end up getting a misdemeanor summons. I go to court, and the attorney, I meet with her. She says, I have a message for you from the chief of police. You need to close your mouth. You need to stop calling us for anything, period, and you will be fine. The charges are dropped. You can leave.
Wow. Wow. Now, does that sound official, like, ladies and gentlemen? Does that sound like police conduct that is appropriate, or does that sound, doesn't something seem wrong with that? I mean, even to a layman, anybody watching with any sort of inclination as to the founding of this country and what we're all here experimenting with in this liberty project of ours, if you will, that everybody knows we have freedoms and rights, and there's principles and morals and ethics and laws involved in a civilized society in our republic, specifically. And when law enforcement officials or not just police, but any public official who takes an oath to the Constitution and is beholden to the people, and is supposed to be operating on behalf of the people, is being paid by the people to do said duties. They have to adhere to the rules, and when they don't, it creates a very serious liability. It deteriorates the very fabrics of our society very rapidly, and creates division and political and civil unrest and discourse. It's a serious problem for the culture in our country. There's many talks of many movements, such as defund the police, and then the counter to that is the thin blue line, and everybody seems to be raising a flag somewhere. But to those so inclined, they all just hang down all the time, if you know what I mean. Nobody's actually accomplishing anything productive. We're often left with a very self-destructive atmosphere and environment, a very dysfunctional relationship with our law enforcement, with no bridge even to reach out to a public relations department on an open and transparent level. These people expect you to have some sort of corporate-sponsored press pass in order to have some sort of direct access to immediate answers involving real problems, real crimes, and real problems that are occurring internally in response to the reporting of these crimes or the investigations of these crimes. There's just a lot to be upset with, and if you're really paying attention, then you are really upset. You are probably tuning into my channel, and you probably want to do something about it. Don't you want your property taxes to be lower? Don't people want to rein in on the redundancies and on the abuses and on the inflated budgets and unfunded pension liabilities and things associated with services rendered that are awful? Like the crime rates and the things associated with communities that are directly correlated with police activity, police response, police conduct, police misconduct, police policy, police procedure, or any other public municipality in that respect. When they all affect the town, and the property values and the employment levels and the business atmosphere and the quality of life, ultimately, is what it boils down to. They need to be held accountable for how they're handling things or how they're not handling things. And that's what we're here to do at Tyrant Slayer Studios. We're not here to bash anyone or to make bad blood. We're not here to stir a pot and antagonize or provoke or misrepresent any facts. This is not CNN. This is not Fox News. This is not Fox 61. This is not Channel 3 Eyewitness News. This is not the Chronicle or the Hartford Courant or your normal expose of unreliable news. This isn't an entertainment channel. The leading story here isn't leading because it's on fire like it is on all those networks. The leading story here isn't because someone's bleeding or dying. We don't do that stuff here. We can't do that stuff here. There are community guidelines and standards set in this community, and we adhere to those standards here at Tyrant Slayer Studios. And this isn't for entertainment. This is really, I'm really trying to help. Justin here is really trying to help. These are very real issues that we're really trying to address. There's a great community on YouTube. If you're new to this and you're just tuning in for the first time, this is Tyrant Slayer Studios, and we're out there fighting as much for you as we are our own rights. This is all about creating unity, awareness, and education. and we need to build a foundation. We need to get our 0-point axis set so that we can determine our course upon which we will address very serious and egregious issues that people have experienced firsthand with our public officials in a number of various municipalities throughout the state of Connecticut, which seems to be spiraling out of control, not only economically, but culturally, politically. Education here is turning to crap.
Yeah.
There's so many serious things going on, and the cost of it all just seems to be exponentially increasing with no end in sight. And I think the very first place that people should consider starting, like, I don't know what's best to do. I'm learning along with everyone here, but I think one place that we can all collectively start is locally on a municipal level. Let's get a hold of our town budgets. Let's get a hold of what's happening in our towns and how our public municipalities are responding to these things happening in town, and what the cost of those things are, and how we can improve upon lowering those costs. Just like, I mean, running a business, right? Part of the problem is the Connecticut government doesn't operate like a business would. It doesn't matter what the cost is. They'll send 16 trucks and 45 guys out to fix one pothole. Because if that's what it takes to get the same budget next year, that's what they'll do.
Yep.
You know, it's crazy. But again, I digress. I get carried away. I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. So speaking of local, we'll keep it local. I've tried to address a number of serious issues with the previous chief myself. I have some videos on my channel that feature some of my email correspondence with the records department, which hasn't really changed much at all. But if anyone tuned into my video done on November the 29th, I think it's Vernon PD, denial of service. And initially I was. For a moment there, I was being denied services and hit with that aluminum wall that comes down behind that glass. But it was only when I asked for a personnel record, personnel file, and insisted that I just wanted to inspect it. It should only take 5-10 minutes to procure. I didn't need a social security number or any sort of sensitive personal information. I just wanted to, get commendations, disciplinaries and things on an officer who refused to do a well-being check on a minor child who's been within imminent danger for a long, long time, and it's irrefutable that is the case. It's just a matter of getting the state to acknowledge that. That's been one of the biggest problems for me. But that goes into my court case, and I'm not really going to be discussing that this evening. I do have to say that my engagement with the new chief, John Kelly. John Kelly seems to understand that there were some very serious issues. He seemed to, he didn't give me the death eyes, He gave me the eyes like, holy, this is really uncomfortable, man. He gave me the eyes like, shit, I really don't like the position I'm in. I saw like a human element in him more than I saw a police officer, and that kind of put me at ease a little bit. And overall, I think that contributed to my overall analysis of my engagement when I say it seems like he wants to try and make things right. He's just not comfortable with the way we're putting the pressure on him to try and assure that happens. You know what I mean? I don't think it's something that he's accustomed to or expected. I don't think this is something that the department could foresee being almost regular, like, follow-ups from involved people, local residents like you, Justin. You do reside in Vernon. You do follow up with them. this trespassing thing is a great example of that. Now, you've actually, since my address of that issue and my conversation with the new chief on the 29th of November, you have since actually gotten some closure to this and have discovered that the police report was filed, and I believe it was later that day. Am I mistaken on that?
It was 8:30 that night.
8:30 that night.
Yes.
So bravo. I mean, if anyone's wondering if what we do actually makes a difference, I would say that is absolutely proof that what we're doing here is making a positive difference, and that's what we're looking to see. I mean, how unfair is it that such a length of time could go by, and the people have no idea what the hell they just spent their money on, what's been facilitated by their public officials, and why. Who's in the chain of custody of all this documentation? You know, this is all public information, and it is very important that the public always have immediate and public access, unobstructed access to this information, so that we can hold our public servants accountable and to the letter of the law. You know, that's what auditing is. You can't, call ahead of time and tell the police you're coming to do an audit. Because then, like any dirty restaurant, they're going to clean everything up before the health inspector gets there, if you will. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you got to kind of be the undercover boss in this situation. Otherwise, you lose the element of it being a legitimate audit. You have to be unpredictable. You have to show up unannounced. You have to just put the Johnny on the spot, camera on the person, cameras on the officials, within the limitations of our laws and our rights, and do so without jeopardizing anyone's safety and things. And we should be good to go. But as we see often and over again, that's not the case. And we continue to see an oppressive sort of police force that seems to be operating on behalf of, let's say, not so well-intended entities or purposes. Something seems to be either really wrong, or maybe there's just a tremendous level of ignorance on behalf of our public officials. I don't really know. But what you've experienced is terrible, and what others have experienced is terrible. Can you talk a little bit more about what you've observed in contrast between the new chiefs, the new chief and the old one? Anything you have the floor for the next 5 minutes. It's all on you.
Well, where I live now in Vernon, there's a business that blocks the sidewalk, and for 3 years, I've been fighting with the previous chief of police to try to do something, and nothing was being done. And I've addressed it. I ended up having to go to the mayor, and a little bit got done, but nothing. But in the few conversations I've had with the current chief of police, not only did he make a point that he was listening and he understood my concerns and my questions and agree that it was a safety issue and agree that something needed to be done. Well, he's also taken steps to be proactive and continue with communication. And not only had that, but I put a video on my channel where I went a couple days later to get that police report. And I asked the sergeant that I spoke with, the shift supervisor, for some follow-up. And he's actually been in contact with me, which is a first in all my time.
Go ahead and plug your YouTube channel for everybody out there. Yep. If I have a mod in the chat, go ahead and plug your YouTube channel. Justin?
News Now Connecticut.
News Now Connecticut.
Yeah.
Do you have a website or anything else, a Facebook page or any other links you want to plug?
I don't have a Facebook page yet. I've been slowly trying to grow it. I have a 3-year-old son, so most of my free time is on that. But I'm trying to really put a spotlight on things and show where things are going wrong and show where things are going right. The fact that I heard back from that shift supervisor just saying, hey, I don't want you to think I forgot about you. I'm going to be off a couple of days. I'm coming back this day. That in 10 years, I've never had anything like that.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put a link. If I could get a mod to go ahead and just plug a link to his YouTube channel every once in a while, that'd be great too. I'll go ahead and get the link up for you now. That's News Now Connecticut.
Yep.
and that's on YouTube. I would encourage anyone watching and anyone who watches this video further down the line to head on over to News Now Connecticut on YouTube. This is Justin. He's a local activist. He's a local American. He's just a regular guy, really, doing his duty on behalf of his fellow American, on behalf of his family and the future of this country. Trying to fight for transparency, justice, accountability, and when necessary, liability, and trying to make a difference, a positive difference. And that's what we like to do here at Tyrant Slayer Studios. So News Now Connecticut. I'll get a link up for you guys. Wow, I can't believe it didn't come up. Filter. YouTube must not like this man. That's crazy.
We didn't mention any of the magic words that send their algorithm up into flares.
I'm serious. News Now Connecticut. Oh, News Now. Is it News Now CT or News Now
Yeah,
Connecticut?
News Now CT. Sorry.
Okay, that's why. All right. Do not type Connecticut out, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to want to put CT. News Now CT. That's probably my error there. News Now CT. It still hasn't come up. Let's put the filter back on, down to channel. That's crazy. It's giving me all of our local news stations right now. What? Here, give me a link to your channel, brother, and I'll put it up in the chat. Or if I got a mod that's out there right now that's got a clue. Somebody help with that? All right, let's try this. Let's try this again.
Let's see here.
YouTube. News Now CT. Unbelievable. Yeah, they must. These people at Google don't like you. They don't like me either, you guys. They've been capping my impressions. Oh, here we go. I got you, buddy.
Did you get that?
Yes, sir.
All right.
There it is, folks. Copy and paste. All right, so if I got a mod in here, can a mod just keep on copy and paste that, throw it up every couple five minutes or something? I don't know how much longer we're gonna be here, but share that link, subscribe to that man, to this man's channel, and show him some love. He's on to the right thing. He's doing it the right way. He's got a set of standards. He's being respectful. He's being peaceful. He's non-violent. We're not out there blocking bridges. But I digress.
I just want to see, not just for Vernon, I want to see safe communities where people can trust their local officials again. And you can't get that without accountability and transparency.
You have to have a working, viable relationship with the public, a means to communicate with one another instead of hiding and burying headlines and burying records and making it hard. You got to go through an hour-long phone call in some call center before you actually get to the person you need to talk to facilitate actually getting things. Oh, you need to fill out a Freedom of Information Act request to go through all sorts of mumbo jumbo, and in that process, if you're not willing to share your identity, they're not willing to work with you. Like, they make you feel like they're seeking to do something retaliatory. The relationship is just very turbulent and very uncomfortable. Yeah. There needs to be some sort of respect and mutual trust between police and people. And like you said, we're not going to get that without a process that allows for accountability and transparency. Tyrant Slayer Studios, Activism News Network, Rogue Nation, JMA audits, James Madison audits, John Felix, Solo Yacker, Rights Crispy, Disorderly Product News, Joe Cool, all these people out here are on to the right thing and trying to do it the right way, and I think it's just a matter of organization. I'd like to eventually do some shows discussing organization, things that we can do to actually collectively organize around the nation. And I think that's one of the most important elements Americans like us have lacked for a long, long time. It seems as though our political opposition, the system that's so grossly oppressing us, and its political opposition, its social opposition, its cultural opposition, its economic opposition, everything that we are, it opposes. That system, to rein it in, is really going to take an entire rewiring of this entire relationship. If things have to really change, and we really have to organize. They organize so well against us, and we don't organize so well against them. We all have our independent things going on. We all kind of have our voices, but we don't have a collective voice. These folks, collectively do things. Even if it's not legal, they still get the job done. They still they march, they block bridges, they make noise. They're given space to demonstrate. We got to demonstrate one way or another. Find a way to collectively come together, and I think if we can do that, when we address our public officials, we'll come to them with greater stature. We'll come to them with a greater force, a peaceful force, but a force nonetheless, and really kind of remind them that they're obligated and dutifully obligated to serve us, if you will.
And we know it works. Look at the best documented case here in Connecticut is the no tolls movement. That's one guy who decided to organize and become a voice, and he shut down the progress that the governor was making on tolls.
Yeah, there's been a number of movements here in Connecticut. There's the Connecticut Liberty Rally. I think that's John Johnston. He's a libertarian. I think he's even a candidate, isn't he? Isn't he a candidate for the Libertarian Party? John Johnston, is that his name? Jonathan Johnston?
I believe so.
Yeah, he's the founder, if you will, of the Connecticut Liberty Rally. You have Open CT Now. You have Citizens Against Governor Ned Lamont. You've got a number of different things going on in Connecticut. In fact, Connecticut is home to YouTube's famous YouTube star, Michael Picard, who is a character unto himself. I don't know if you're familiar with him, Justin, but he's got some pretty entertaining work. A funny way of creating progress, to say the least. If you folks out there haven't seen Michael Picard's work, he is a Connecticut resident, and he's making quite a name for himself. He has been for some time. But with that said, I really don't know how much more to say other than I'm happy to see that there seems to be a difference in what's going to happen with our relationship with Vernon Police, and I think overall with the town. I've yet to speak with the town attorney, despite my efforts. That's an issue unto itself. There is an outstanding Freedom of Information Act request that has gone grossly neglected for some time, and the former chief of Vernon Police has his fingerprints all over that, as well as the current records custodian, chief records custodian. I can't remember her name. But there's issues that have yet to be addressed, but we've raised a number of issues, and they are being addressed, and very swiftly. The police report involving the trespass that Justin has mentioned this evening is absolute irrefutable proof of that, and we commend you, Chief James.
Kelly.
Chief John Kelly.
Kelly.
It's John Kelly, right?
John Kelly, yeah.
Yeah, Chief John Kelly. I do applaud you for that, and I think the audience should too. We're not cop bashers here. We don't hate our law enforcement officials. We don't hate our law enforcement. I mean, we understand what's going on here, and cooler heads always prevail. And we try to keep it cool here. So keep up the good work. We're looking forward to following up with you and getting your assistance and your insight, further reports from you, and what's going on with this department, what's happened, what's expected to happen, in issues that we are addressing and new issues that we will address. And we'll go from there. We hope to have a new, good, viable, transparent relationship with our public officials in Vernon. Not just the police, but our town officials and other municipality officials as well. It's time that people engage, and it's time we get organized. That's what this is all about. Is there anything that you'd like to add? Does anybody have any questions for News Now CT? Has anyone heard of him? Maybe some of the guys out here today have heard of you, and they've seen some of your work. If there's anyone here,
they may have seen me comment in some of your videos.
Oh yeah, I'm sure some people have seen you around, and I sincerely appreciate that. It's been a tough row, and it's going to be a tough row ahead, but I think we're going to get through. I'll fall and die on the sword of justice if I have to, because I know I'm wielding it righteously. And I think that people who know me personally and truly follow my work and have even better insight because of personal relationships with me, I think they know where I'm at, and I think they're as hopeful as I am, but we're all a little scared too. No one really knows what's going to happen. So we take it one day at a time here at Tyrant Slayer Studios, and we're asking you to do the same. If you have not subscribed already to Activism News Network, please head on over to www.activismnewsnetwork.com. If you're new here to this channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit that alert bell so that you know when we go live or when we're publishing new video content, new educational material in public matters to disseminate to for matters of public interest to you. Jesus, I'm losing it. I've been up late, and I think it's time to go. Is there anything you'd like to add? Oh, let's go through the comments. Let's say hello to everybody.
All right.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll see if we got some questions here. Mr. Rebar, document everything. Get everything in writing. F and A, B, and C, that's one of the first things we encourage all citizens to do. Always film your engagement with our government. It is absolutely 100% legal for you to document adjective record of your engagement with our public officials. And it is the best record keeper in respects to what you can use it for in legal recourse proceedings, in which you may have to redress your government and rectify errors. Do your part in society to make sure that we get this stuff right going forward. There are kids at stake. There is a lot at stake. This has been one great big experiment that is called the United States of America, and I think if it fails, we're gonna be in a real bad place. So
real scary place.
Yeah, I think it's incumbent upon each and every one of us who have been fortunate enough to be born in this time and live in this absolutely bizarre, strange time, to get involved. And to stop a little bit and think about what's going on rationally, and collectively come together to discuss what you think we can do to change things. I talk a lot, but I want you. I want to hear from you. I want you to have a place on this platform. This is the People's Press Studio. It's not my studio. It's yours. And that's why Justin's here tonight. That's why I want to see more of you here tomorrow, and why you should be here. If you've had an experience with law enforcement or Connecticut officials that you believe is egregious and needs to be addressed, and you'd like something done about what's happened, come on to Tyrant Slayer Studios. Come on to the panel sometime. Reach out to me. You can email me at studioadmin@tyrantslayerstudios.com. You can reach out to News Now CT. He would love to give you a voice and a platform as well.
And look, look how well it worked. I sent out to you. You went there, and boom, I got a report done. I mean, it's proof that it works.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, this isn't some sort of scam you got to pay for. It's just you got to watch and learn and do it yourself. And the more we get engaged and the more we are collectively involved in our system of governance, the better it will be for us. Really, that's all it takes is getting involved. With that, I think I shall bid to you farewell. Oh, wait. Damn it, I keep forgetting about the audience. That's so rude. Not a troll. I appreciate that. Hey, thank you for being here. Cheeseburger Auditor. Busted Puppet. That's what they've done, Tyrant Slayer Studios, as well as anybody else. They don't agree with anyone that has conservative values. You know, there definitely seems to be some sort of political oppression taking place in this state. It is, without question, very prevalent. You know, there's a oppression coming from one side. Let's see. Redneck Girl Transparency. Yeah, if it's your first time hearing of News Now CT, show him some love, man. This is a local guy. He's a father. He's a taxpayer. He's a hardworking man. He's got a heart of gold. I'll tell you what, he's been very supportive and helpful to me. He helped get my bike out of impounds. You know, this guy is local to the area, very in very close proximity, and was willing to go ahead and pick my e-bike up, my Tyrant Slayer Studios Mobile Unit 1. He went and picked it up.
You need to get that engraved on the side.
I haven't figured out quite what I'm going to do with it yet, but I am going to be making modifications to the bike, and it will be very well known who I am while I'm on that bike. You know, it'll be a good time. I'm gonna let the audience help me decide where I should go on all that. I like the idea, and don't be surprised if it happens one day. So who else we got? We got Call Bubby. Thank you for being here. Mitten Mayhem. Wolverine Transparency. Thank you for being here. Rich Flat. Trolls remind me of Nazi checkpoints, he says. Hey, these trolls have been bad. TSS. Have you seen Left Behind yet? I don't think I have. If I did, I forgot. So I'll look into it, my man. I hope all is well with you and yours. Haven't checked on you in a little while. I feel sorry for rude about that. I do apologize. But thanks for being here, man. Nice to see you. Chris Topher, thank you for being here. The Great I Am. Okay, so it looks like I had a troll here tonight. Hopefully the mods got a hold of that. I'm going to have to look through these a little more carefully. I'm just like throwing comments up and taking a look at them. Dana Cox, thank you for being here. Oh, Wolverine Transparency. Holy shit. Super chat. Don't forget to hit that like button, y'all. Hey, thanks, man. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you.
I know. When I'm done, I'm going to be going and hitting the like button.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I heard hitting the like button on my channel actually reduces the chances of contracting. Oh, never mind.
It reduces the chances of contracting boredom.
Yeah, that was the word. I was drawing a blank there.
Yeah.
I went one letter too far.
There you go.
Let's see. Yusef Smollett found guilty of staging hoax. Yes, mainstream media said crisis actors are faked. Lol. Yeah, man, the Jesse Smollett. Jesus. I don't want to comment on that. They'll probably take my channel down. Just go out there and see for yourself, folks. And this guy's like just one of many who's, like, there's so many of these guys, these people out there. They say frauditors, First Amendment frauditors, and then they don't say they don't say nothing about Jesse Smollett or like, people dressing up. Like, the imaginary racism is basically what I'm getting at. You got the FBI out here in the state of Connecticut looking for the racist who's over at the Amazon construction site here in the state, over by the old tobacco fields up in where's that, Windsor Locks?
Yep.
Yeah, right. That's up there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got cables and wires and things being used to hoist material, lock gates, things of that nature, and anything with a loop in it is immediately portrayed and perceived as, or portrayed to perceive as, oh, well, that's a noose. This is a hate crime. There's some racist white people that must be working here or coming here in the middle of the night, leaving these messages of hate. And you've got like imaginary races, and you got the FBI wasting all of its time and resources on this stuff here. But the FBI won't investigate our governor and his wife's offshore bank account. The FBI won't investigate, things that actually really matter. Oh, did I lose you? Oh, there you go. I got a big lag there. They must be watching. Hello, everybody. Yep. Big lag spike. All right, I digress. Sorry. I digress. Let's see who else we got here. Rachel, I love you. Mr. Rebar, we said hello to you. Redneck Girl Transparency. Extonator, hey man, you are the man. Thank you. Head on over to see
News Now CT.
News Now CT, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're out of here. We're going to keep you up to date on Vernon PD, the new chief, and this new relationship we seem to be developing. We are going to remain hopeful that it will continue to be viable and productive in our quest for a better relationship with our public servants, and particularly our police. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.